different with sleet than snow is that whenever it hits the ground, it kind of bounces back up again, and it's all about the temperature profile. Nerding out, it'll be easier if I show it to you. But we do still have that ice storm in warning. And that's going to be lasting until noon. We're not going to be seeing any more accumulation, but there's still ice out there, as we were showing you guys, especially on those bridges and those overpasses. So I would really suggest staying off the roads. We also still have that winter storm warning in effect, and that's going to be lasting until noon. But now the big concern is the leftover ice and how cold it is and will continue to be. And that's why we have that extreme cold warning, and that's going to be lasting until Monday morning at noon. And it looks cold. It is cold. Downtown Austin, we're 20 degrees right now. It's 8:20, and a lot of us not only in the 20s, but we've got some teens. Taking a look, we're 13 over in San Saba, 14 up in Lampasas, and we've got those winds that are coming in from the north with some gusts around 30 miles an hour at times. So feels like temperatures are even colder. Feels like 0 right now in Fredericksburg. Feels like 1 in Lampasas. Feels like 1 in Burnett. Feels like staying inside. Extra hot coffee, maybe some chili, some soup, anything, hanging out by the fire. I hope you're at home with your loved ones cuddled up on the couch, or better yet, in bed under the covers. That sounds so nice. And that cloud cover is actually going to start to clear out. So the good news with that is that it's going to help melt some of the snow. And you might be thinking, well, it's not going to get above freezing in a lot of spots. Well, even if it doesn't get above freezing, I think we'll hit freezing right on the nose here in Austin. That sun will still hit the ground, radiate the ground, and help melt. I'm hoping most of that ice. But the question is, will it be able to evaporate and completely clear out? Because any liquid that's left over is gonna refreeze overnight for sure. So that we could still even be seeing some slick spots as we move into Monday. So just make sure that you are staying extra careful. And if you can, stay home. Temperatures are gonna continue to be dangerously cold. As I said, I think we're gonna warm up right around freezing in Austin. Over in the hill country, though, you guys are in the teens right now, feeling like the single digits. Some of you not even a digit, feeling like 0. But we are going to be below freezing for the most part in the hill country. We're going to continue to see those freezing temperatures into the overnight and into early Monday morning. A lot of us, again, waking up in the teens. So just make sure that you are bundling up if you do have to go back to work, if you do have to go back to school. And tomorrow, it does look like we'll be slightly above freezing here in Austin, but not all that much, just by a few degrees. And then overnight we're freezing again. So there's going to be multiple hours we're going to continue to need to drip your pipes. So keep that in mind. Keep your pets inside and make sure all your loved ones are staying warm. It's not really until Tuesday afternoon that we're really in the clear, where we'll be warming up to about 50. But even that is below average. In fact, we're going to continue to be below average temperature wise pretty much all week long. And then we've got another front that's going to be coming through that's going to be bringing us a little bit more wet weather. I'll have more on that as we get closer to it. But for now, I did want to give you some tips. Make sure that if you are going outside, that you are dressing for those conditions. Multiple layers. I should have taken a picture of what I looked like this morning. It was ridiculous, but I was warm. And make sure that you're limiting your time outside. Check on your loved ones, and also watch for those icy areas. And for your home, make sure that that's properly insulated. I'll share the rest of these later. I'm getting a wrap. I'm going on and on, but there is still a lot to talk about. Even though we're not seeing any more accumulation, temperatures still dangerously cold, and then we will slowly start to warm up. And then we got a little bit of wet weather as we head towards next weekend, and we'll have more news and weather for our extended coverage coming up after the break.
More than 200,000 people, they are without electricity as snow and ice are on the roads and power lines across country. These conditions are already causing massive travel delays. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more. Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning to you, Libby. We haven't seen any of those power outages here in the D.C. area. We started off with snow. What's coming down now is sleet, but we could throughout the afternoon, because next up for us is some freezing rain, and that's when you can get in danger of those power outages. Joining hundreds of thousands of customers from New Mexico all the way to New England who are now without power. Heavy snow and sleet pummeling New Mexico up through New England as a massive storm hits more than half the country. Forecasters say places like Philadelphia, New York, and Boston could see as much as a foot of snow, while across the South, ice is the biggest threat.
Sometimes it looks just like the pavement is wet, but it's not. It's ice. It's a sheet of ice.
In Texas and Louisiana, tens of thousands lost power, and officials warn those numbers could climb as temperatures plunge due to a polar vortex.
An inch of ice can knock down power lines, right? Power outages and trees coming down. Absolutely treacherous situation.
In the Midwest, wind chills dropped to as low as minus 40 degrees, meaning frostbite could set in within 10 minutes.
If you have exposed skin, you'll start noticing that skin's going to be uncomfortable. It may start turning red. That's the time to quickly get out of the cold.
Multiple governors declared a state of emergency, and hundreds of National Guard troops have been activated to help stranded drivers. For those flying this weekend, airlines have canceled at least 10,000 flights through Monday.
Anything like this that really disrupts the system takes a few days to get out of, and especially a storm of this size hitting so many different areas.
And Libby, we're on a tight shot of my hand just to show you that sleet. Can you see when it hits, it bounces off. When it hits your skin, it absolutely hurts. So they are telling folks here to stay in if you possibly can. They have been clearing the roads. You can maybe see one of those snow plows behind us. But they are telling us that is for emergency services. They want the police and ambulances to be able to get out and on the roads. If you can stay home, do it, at least until this week. Libby, back to you.
All right, thank you, Caroline. Try to stay safe and warm out there. It looks very cold. Coming up next, we will take a look at the national headlines of the weekend. The biggest story comes as a second person has been shot and killed by immigration officers in Minnesota.
Good Day Austin is on your side.
The tensions between federal officers and angry protesters have skyrocketed in Minneapolis after a Border Patrol agent shot and killed a man in the city yesterday. The incident is fueling the fire between the two groups as state and local officials demand that ICE leaves their city. Fox News' correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
A chaotic scene unfolding between federal agents and protesters in Minneapolis after an immigration officer fatally shot a man in the city.
Based on the information that we have, which is very limited, this is a 37-year-old white male who is a Minneapolis resident, and we believe he is an American citizen.
The U.S. Border Patrol chief says a federal agent fired defensive shots.
The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. You can see the gun here on the screen there that individual possessed. It appears to be a semi-automatic, high-capacity type, possibly a Sig Sauer 9mm.
The city's police chief says they believe the man was a lawful gun owner with no previous criminal record.
Officers arrived and found an adult male with multiple gunshot wounds when they arrived. Life-saving aid was being rendered.
Video shows ICE officers wrestling with a man.
Just saw a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death.
Following the shooting, protesters could be heard screaming profanities and calling for ICE to get out of the city. This adding to the nationwide protests that have erupted since Renee Good was fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minneapolis earlier this month.
7 years old, angry.
Minnesota officials are calling for an immediate end to ICE operations in the state. Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Anti-ICE protests are on the rise in western cities with fresh outbreaks of protests. New demonstrations were seen in cities such as Los Angeles, Phoenix, Seattle, and Portland, Oregon. The continued calls for the national abolition of ICE as an immigration enforcement agency. Those locations had much better weather for anti-ICE demonstrations since the rest of the country is seeing this Arctic blast. The new protests are following the death of 37-year-old Alex Pretty, who was killed yesterday. ADHS spokesperson says a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots, being allegedly he shot them in self-defense. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has addressed that shooting in Minneapolis, and according to Homeland Security officials, the man was shot after he approached them while they were conducting an operation against an undocumented immigrant with an alleged criminal history. Noem says Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey are choosing violence. She alleges the rhetoric is worsening the protests in Minneapolis.
And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says after the shooting, around 200 protesters were rioting at the scene. He says law enforcement officers use crowd control measures for the safety of law enforcement and the public. And coming up next, the Aggies remain atop the SEC standings after picking up the 3rd win in a row. Fox 7 Austin's John High will show you how A&M got it done against South Carolina. That's next in sports, but first, Adelie Rowe.
And even though we're no longer seeing that freezing rainfall or sleet, it's moved out of the area, still it's dangerously cold, and we do still have icy conditions on the roadways. We'll take a closer look at traffic coming up in just a bit.
7 meteorologist Adelie Rowe.
And we're going to start off by looking at some freeze safety tips, because yes, we're no longer seeing any more accumulation, but it's dangerously cold out there. There's still icy roads, so make sure that if you are going outside, first of all, I suggest don't, but if you are, make sure that you're dressing for the conditions, lots and lots of layers, limit your time outside, check on your loved ones, and watch for icy areas. I took 3 steps and almost fell this morning, and if you are going to walk outside, another tip is to kind of walk like a penguin. It helps with your center of gravity and makes it to where you're less likely to slip, but you know, you're even less likely to slip if you don't even walk on the ice. And for your house, make sure that you're checking your furnace, checking those chimneys, make sure that your carbon monoxide detectors are working. Do not bring your generator inside of your house. Please just don't do it. And then you want to insulate, especially those exposed pipes. Keep dripping your pipes, and I would open up your cabinets underneath your sinks as well. And for your car, if you do need to drive, before you go, make sure that you're checking your battery, check your tire pressure, and have your jumper cables ready, and also have a blanket in the truck just in case that you get stuck. And then also for your pets, bring them inside. If they are outside, make sure they have adequate shelter, and if they don't, that's actually illegal. So really just bring them in, make sure that they have fresh water, because their water can freeze over if you're leaving them outside, which again, you shouldn't do. And then also keep salt away from their paws. But if you're looking for an alternative to salt to make it to where you're less likely to slip on the sidewalks, driveways outside your house, I've seen people use dirt. I've seen people use coffee grounds, sand, kitty litter. So now let's go ahead and get to the forecast now that we got through some of that safety, and luckily we got through the worst of it as that wet weather, that wintry mix is now moving out. And we saw a little bit of everything. We saw sleet, we saw freezing rain, we saw storms the night before, we saw a little bit of snow in spots, and we still have that ice storm warning in effect until noon, but I'm not expecting, and we're not going to see any more on top of what we already have, but it's going to be a while before that's able to thaw out. It's going to be a while before we have temperatures that are above freezing. That's why we have that extreme cold warning, and that's going to be lasting until noon tomorrow. So right now we are 20 downtown Austin. We've got temperatures in the 20s and teens currently. Winds are coming in from the north, so it feels even worse than that outside. And we've got some gusts around 20. So it feels like -1 in Fredericksburg, feels like 1 in Burnett, feels like 11 here in Austin. And with those winds continuing to vary, so are those feels like temperatures. That's what a wind chill or feels like temperature is. You get the air temperature, you factor in the wind, and that's where we get those numbers. And I only say that because I had a friend text me saying, "Where did you just make those numbers up?" No, that's not it. It's the winds plus the air temperature, and right now it's dangerously cold. We are going to start to see some clearing as we get into late this morning and into the afternoon, so less cloud cover. That's good, because even if we don't get above freezing, that sun is going to help melt, I'm hoping, all of the ice. But if it isn't all able to melt and evaporate, anything that's left is going to refreeze overnight and could be black ice. So there could be some slippery spots even tomorrow morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at these temperatures. Looks like we're going to be warming up to about freezing here in Austin later on this afternoon, a nice and toasty freezing. No, today's going to be a really nice day to stay inside, and so is tomorrow, because this is right around midnight, already dipping back down into the teens. And for your Monday morning, yep, we've got widespread 20s and teens again. Feels like temperatures could be negative, especially in the hill country. And then temperatures will barely be above freezing in Austin tomorrow afternoon, dipping down well below freezing Monday night and into Tuesday. But then by Tuesday afternoon, that's when we'll finally start to get out of this dangerous cold. But until then, just keep your 4 Ps in mind: your people, your plants, your pipes, and your pets. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We've got those temperatures dangerously cold, lows in the 20s and teens to look forward to, and then we'll start to warm up just a little bit before another front comes through, bringing us a slim chance for some wet weather as we head towards next weekend. And I've been keeping a really close eye on next weekend. I hate to say this when we're still seeing ice on the roads, but Earlier this morning, there was one model that was barely hinting at a little bit of a wintry mix late Friday into Saturday, but I checked it again and it's not there anymore. So hopefully it continues to stay that way, because I don't want to see any more ice for a long time.
No. She better stay away.
No, she better. And you better stay off of those roads, because the ice is still there, especially on those bridges, on those overpasses.
Probably the worst spots.
It is, because they don't have the ground to help keep them insulated, so it just freezes much more quickly, and it's just dangerous. So stay home.
Stay home. And of course, I think a lot of people panic when they hit black ice, as it is scary.
Yes.
But best advice, try to remain calm. Don't slam on your brakes, ease up off the gas, and just kind of guide your car in the right direction.
Right, in the right direction. We keep trying to point you in it. It's to stay home.
Yeah, don't leave the house.
I'm jealous. I wish I was in my bed right now.
Well, you're
but
not.
I am happy to be here and keeping an eye on these things for you, because that's, no matter the weather, we'll weather it together. Love you guys, and enjoy. I'm glad that you're here for our extended coverage.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of driving, we're going to take a look at a tech stock camera real quick. Let's see what's up. Okay, not a lot of people on the roads, which is great, and I love to see that the people that are on the roads appear to be driving nice and slow. So if you don't need to be on the roads today, don't. This is the camera at I-35 South and 56th Street. I love to see that these cars are driving nice and slow. It is not worth driving fast. Last night there was a flip that Marco Benell covered, so the risk is there. Just drive slow, be safe. Now here is a quick look at sports.
7 Austin Sports with John Hyde.
One thing we've learned about first-year UT men's basketball head coach Sean Miller is he always keeps it real with the media. Coming off their latest loss where they committed 23 fouls, in his post-game press conference, he said his team has a virus in that category and that his guys will foul the living blank out of you. His Horns looking to cut down on the fouls and snap a 2-game slide with 21st-ranked Georgia in town. You know Dalen Swain going to do his thing. He gets the steal, lays it in to tie it up at 10 apiece in the first half. Later on, how about Tremont Marks showing off the hops, throwing down the two-handed jam there. But Texas trailed 37-30 at the break, and whatever Coach Miller said to his guys at halftime definitely worked in a big way. Texas opened the half on an 8-0 run to go up 1. Then Marks starts heating up, knocking down 3 of his 23. Later on, Swain gets the and one here. He led all scorers with 26, and yeah, he's pumped. This Cam Heide 3 was part of a 17-2 Texas run. They were up by as much as 23 at one point. Horns get it done, dominating Georgia 87-67 for their 4th-ranked win of the season.
It was good to get a win. You know, Georgia's a good team. Good, another top 25 win for us, so that's good on our resume. But it was a good win. We played good in the second half. We just got to come out better in the first half to start games.
We were down 30-37, and he asked us, like, I mean, he told us, you guys can fold now if you want to, but, I mean, we have a long season to play, so if you have some dog in you, then you'll come out and fight, and that's exactly what we did.
I thought at halftime it was a moment of truth for us in our season. Just putting it out there. And, you're down 37-30 at home, and, you've lost a few in a row, and this is the SEC. There's no easy opportunity in sight. So I was interested to see our response after halftime. Obviously, I didn't think we would win 57-30 in the second half or, end up winning the game by 20 points. But I knew we were a better team than we played in the first half. So I credit our guys.
Yeah, nice win. On Wednesday, Texas will look to keep things rolling at Auburn. The Tigers trying to take down 16th-ranked Florida, who was tied for first in the SEC. The Gators came into this one as double-digit favorites, but Keyshawn Hall, who dropped in 24 in Auburn, did not get the memo as they were thinking upset and took a 15-point lead into the break. Florida battles back in the second half, but in the end, Auburn picks up a huge road win, shocking Florida 76-67. Well, you knew Texas A&M, who, again, came in tied with the Gators for first in conference, would remain atop the league as they were hosting South Carolina, who surprisingly led by 7 early, but the Aggies got hot from beyond the arc. as they took off in a big way. Zach Clements came off the bench, hit 7 threes for 21 points. Ruben Dominguez added 9. The Aggies hit 12 of their 17 threes in the first half. Texas A&M takes it 92-69. The Aggies, who've now won 3 straight, are now in sole possession of first in the SEC.
I think our team's playing where they're having fun and playing the game the right way. We won both halves, scored 92 points in the SEC game. We shot well because we passed the ball well. You know, we could say, well, we were hot, but, you know, Ruben also could have made probably 3 or 4 more threes. So the good part is that, you know, we were getting the right looks, and it wasn't just shot making. We shared the ball, so the shots that we got were ones I expected to go in. So we obviously get a week off here, and then we go to Georgia, which will be obviously a war in Athens.
All right, let's now head to Lubbock for a big one between 6th-ranked Houston and number 12 Texas Tech. Former Stony Point standout and McDonald's All-American Josiah Mosley, who transferred from Villanova, came off the bench for the Red Raiders, knocked down a couple of threes in 10 minutes of work. Cougars talented freshman Kingston Fleming's doing it all for Houston. He finished with 42. As you'd expect, this was a battle. Tech's JT Toppin with 2 of his team-high 31 there. Texas Tech gets it done, 90-86, winning their 12th straight at home, and also get a little payback after losing at Houston a couple of weeks ago.
We at our crib, and you see it's a sold-out arena right now, and the fans are amazing, and we knew we had to get them back at our crib, so we executed. We just stayed together, and we knew we was going to win this game on defense. In the second half, we just made it sure that we played defense second half and rebound with 2 hands, and we executed.
Well, Texas State's Terrence Johnson opened his guys would execute on the road at James Madison. Mark Drone knocking down 3 of his team high 17 there to put the Cats up too early, but that was their only lead of the game. James Madison puts a beat down on Texas Tech, blowing them out 82-57. The Bobcats now drop to 11-11 on the season, 4-6 in the Sun Belt. As for the Texas State women, they had a hill to climb after 3 quarters against Old Dominion, down 9 in the 4th, and that's when the rally begins. Kyra Anderson gets the put back there, then later on lays that one in. She finished with a double-double, 18 points, 11 boards. This Sanaya Burks 3 with 2.5 remaining gave the Cats their first lead of the game, and yeah, Texas State can celebrate as they pick up a 65-61 comeback win. And finally in the NFL, former Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy has thrown his hat back in the ring after he verbally agrees with the Steelers to take over in Pittsburgh, replacing longtime head coach Mike Tomlin, who recently stepped down. All right, that is going to do it for Fox 7 Austin Sports.
Coming up, the nation's capital is preparing for a snowball fight today. We take a look at some trending weather videos across the country. We'll be right back.
is on your side.
Good Sunday morning. We are taking a live look from our tower camera into downtown Austin. Sun is up, still cold, about 21 degrees. If you don't need to leave the house, don't, because it's freezing. And the road conditions, they're not great. Winter weather is moving across Oklahoma, and Fox's Mike Seidel has more on how the city of Tulsa is responding.
Polar plunge today. Temperatures this morning dropped down into the single numbers around 10 this afternoon versus an average high of 50, so 40 degrees below average. Still some snowflakes flying from the first round of snowfall, and they've been shoveling and plowing. You got a plow over here at El Chico. Gentleman over there shoveling the parking lot here in Tulsa. They only average about 9 inches of snow a year, so they're not as equipped as more northern cities and climates. Back here, we're going to have another round of snow setting up this evening, overnight tonight into Sunday morning. The high-res model says we're going to have about another 8 inches. So that plus the 2 to 4 we've had will put us up between about 10 and 12 inches. We may not break the all-time storm record here, which is 14.0 inches. But the cold is going to linger. The roadways today snow-packed and snow-covered. And really, they haven't changed since early this morning. Take a look at this video driving from the hotel here, about 4 or 5 miles, doing about 30, 35 miles an hour, extra braking distance, but no melting today because there is no sunshine and it's just so far below freezing it wouldn't really matter. So the snow wraps up midday tomorrow, Sunday. Warning goes till 3 p.m. Monday morning down below 0 with clear skies and lighter winds. And then the rest of next week, another shot of Arctic air. In fact, next week here in Tulsa, it's going to be tough to get more than a few degrees above freezing. So what comes down will stick around for the most part. The roads should melt off with that sunshine Sunday into Monday and Tuesday. Meanwhile, here in Tulsa, it is bitter cold. Few people out today, and most businesses are closed. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel, Fox Weather in Tulsa.
Taking a look back here in Texas, it's a winter wonderland in snow fell in Bowie, Texas, which is about 70 miles from Fort Worth. That is a lot of snow. Also, check out this video. This is in Frisco, where residents are seeing ice and sleet. People, they're making the most out of this storm, and they're even breaking out their sleds. Be careful. You can still fall. This other winter video is also going viral. It was taken in Wisconsin, and the caption reads, "Only in Wisconsin do you attempt a cheese pull at negative 27 degrees, and it actually works." That is wild. And a friendly snowball showdown is scheduled in our nation's capital today. People plan to gather on the north lawn of the Washington Monument grounds around 11 in the morning. Hundreds of people attended past snowball fights. This year, the fight has been dubbed One Snowball After Another, a tongue-in-cheek reference to the hit 2025 film One Battle After Another. Organizers encourage people to be safe, dress warm, and have fun during the winter blast. And a winter storm is bringing heavy snow and icy temperatures to parts of Tennessee. Fox News' multimedia reporter Sarah Algary is in Nashville with more on this frosty weather and how tourists are dealing with it.
Way under the neon lights, you know, you're used to a bustling kind of atmosphere here. We're still seeing that despite the snow, but it's kind of putting a damper on a lot of plans for folks who come here as a tourist to experience Nashville. And I actually met someone who came for a very special reason, actually from Florida. So ditch the sunshine for this weather. Nove, what brought you into town?
It's my 21st birthday, so we came to go bar hopping on Broadway and enjoy the bars here.
And something special happened while you were here. Can you kind of tell us what that was?
I got proposed the day before my 21st birthday, so it was great.
Congratulations. So quite the surprise. Was the weather a surprise for you as well? Did your fiance know that this was going to be a part of the mixture here?
No. So at first, if the forecast said rain and that was okay, but then it turned into a snowstorm and we were watching it. But Friday was it was cloudy and windy, but there was no snow or anything. So it's perfect weather.
So you're from Florida. You got your whole family here with you today. You guys are really used to this weather. And granted, we aren't necessarily here in Nashville, too. What kind of preparations did you guys keep in mind as you were making your way over here?
Just bring big jackets, gloves, hats, hand warmers. Hand warmers have been a lifesaver. but that was about it. And just don't drive. We're not going to drive.
Well, and I know you want to keep those celebrations going, I'm sure, tonight. I know we're worried about ice kind of being a concern later on here. Anything you and your family are keeping in mind as you continue the celebration, but then also staying safe out in these conditions?
I think just keeping an eye on it, but I don't think we're going to let anything stop us now that we're here. Anything that's open, we're just going to spend time at it and just try to make the most of it.
Well, there you have it, folks. She's a newly engaged woman. She is now 21. What a way to celebrate. And I hope you stay warm in these conditions, Nove. So nice to meet you and your wonderful family. Some of these stories is what we're hearing along the strip here. You know, people making the most of the winter weather, but then also, as you heard, being cautious of what's to come as we transition into more of those icy conditions, what that means here for not only traveling, but then also the widespread power outages.
And coming up next, we've got another hour of Good Day. After the break, we have the latest update on how ERCOT is holding up. And staying warm is at the top of the list this weekend. After the break, we will break down how to stay safe while using a generator.
Generator safety and safety in general, very important because, yes, we're starting to see that wintry mix move out of the Lone Star State for the most part, but still it's dangerously cold. We've got ice on the roads. We've got multiple reporters keeping an eye on things for you. Stay home, stay safe, and stick around for the next hour.
Austin on Fox 7 with Libby Farrow and Adelie Rowe.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Libby Farrow.
And I'm meteorologist Adelie Rowe.
We've got one more hour of extended coverage.
Yes.
It's cold outside.
And I remember during the show you pointed out that this graphic's actually pretty close to
I think it
our
might
temperature.
Be, what is it, 21? Or at least that's what our bug says. It might be right on the money.
It is. And hopefully you're right on your tush or right on your back, laying around at home, relaxing, staying safe.
Ugh.
That's what we keep saying all morning. Because you might be thinking, oh, well, look at the radar. It's over. No, it's not. We're still seeing a lot of ice on the roads. We've got some talented reporters brooding these conditions to share the latest with you. We'll have more with them in just a little bit. But gosh, I hope everyone's staying bundled up, warm, and inside. Because as we go ahead and take a look, yes, we're not seeing any more of that wintry mix, but temperatures are dangerously cold, and we still have a lot of ice accumulated in spots. So we're 20 right now downtown Austin, but we're even colder in the hill country. We're 12 in San Saba. We're 16 over in Llano, 19 in Round Rock. I can just feel my leg hair growing with these goosebumps. It's just so cold. So cold that just stay inside. We're -2 in Burnett. We're 0 in Fredericksburg. And I know I sound like a broken record here, but if you don't need to get out, then just stay home. It's a nice and lazy Sunday. Now you got an excuse to do nothing. Just hang out with your loved ones. Make sure that they're staying safe, which brings me to your 4 Ps during a freeze. Also have your pets inside, snuggled up with you. Make sure that you've covered up your more sensitive plants, or if you could bring them in as well. And we need to keep dripping our pipes. Make sure you have your cabinets open underneath your sinks, especially if they're backing up to an exterior wall, because yes, the accumulation is over with, the wintry mix is over with, but it's still dangerously cold out there.
All right, we are going to take a live look right now. We've got one of our photographers off of Airport Boulevard and Bolton Road. You can see, obviously, not a lot of traffic. We've got one person on the road right now, and I just do want to point out that they are doing an excellent job. They are driving slow and steady, which is really what you want to do. We've got another car coming in too. That being said, if you don't need to drive, don't. The roads are not really in a great condition, and honestly, it's so cold outside, you don't need to go outside. And while officials, we are urging people to stay off the roads this weekend, some may still have to travel. And if you do have to drive, make sure your vehicle is ready for winter conditions. Fox 7 Austin's Jenna King spoke with a mechanic and is live in downtown Austin with the details. Good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. A happy Sunday, happy winter wonderland. Yeah, we're here right in front of the Capitol. For the most part, pretty quiet scene. A lot of people obviously taking the advice to stay home, which again, I know we cannot stress enough. Hunker down. It is icy out here. It is chilly. It is cold. We have seen very few people, a couple people taking some walks, taking the dog out. We saw one brave soul doing some running, but for the most part, pretty quiet scene. Yeah, those roads are icy. If you do need to travel, though, there are definitely some simple steps you can take to make sure that your vehicle is prepared to weather this storm. Mechanics tell us that the most common issues that they usually see during these storms are dead batteries and some low tire pressure. As those temperatures drops, overpasses and elevated roadways often tend to ice over first. AAA also warning that having less than half a tank of gas in your car can also cause your fuel line to freeze up. So of course, making sure your tank is full if you do have to head out the door. Mechanics also telling me it's important to check those tires, make sure they're properly inflated, have good tread. Healthy tires are essential for driving in winter, for traction and control. Drivers should also make sure windshield wiper blades are in good condition and that wiper fluid is full.
Tires, main thing, because as soon as you come out, changing temperature, your tire can go really low. Take a look around your vehicle before you head out. And best thing would be to let it warm up 5-8 minutes. You should be good.
Yeah, it is also a good idea to pack emergency supplies as well in case you do become stranded. You know, that means stuff to keep you warm, whether that's blankets, hats, gloves, extra layers. AAA also recommends keeping a flashlight and a first aid kit with you just in case. Again, we're telling you all morning, stay inside if you do not need to be outside. It is cold out here. It is icy. It is dangerous. So yeah, it might be pretty to look at, but watch your step. We've had a couple of close slips, but for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Jenna. Try to stay warm. I know it's chilly out there. Thank you for giving us the details. Health experts are sharing tips on how to keep frostbite away as temperatures continue to drop in parts of the country. It's chilly. Medical professional Lindsay DeSantis is warning that, in quote, it doesn't take long for frostbite or frost nip to set in. When skin is exposed to frigid temps, blood flow drops as the body is trying to protect your vital organs. The reduced circulation may cause skin tissue to freeze, which can cause lasting damage. She also says there are certain parts of the body that are most at risk, especially if they are not covered.
Anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. It doesn't take long for frostbite or frost nip to start. You can end up losing a finger or toe or even part of your nose. Your blood, when you get cold, starts to go to your core areas like your heart. So you'll start seeing some paleness in your fingertips, maybe even some redness to your tips. And then you'll start seeing that turn whiter and whiter.
And health experts, they say that early symptoms of frostbite can be tingling, numbness, loss of feeling, or skin that looks pale or red. They advise people in colder temps to dress in layers, wear clothes that cover that exposed skin, and take breaks indoors to warm up when you can. ERCOT issued a weather watch this weekend. The watch will be in effect until Tuesday because of this storm. ERCOT will continue to monitor the weather conditions, and at last check, demand for power has not reached what's available, meaning we're not in danger of any rolling brownouts. ERCOT is also reminding everybody that a weather watch is not a call for conservation. While ERCOT and CenterPoint say they're ready for today's wintry mix, Texans still remember the big freeze nearly 5 years ago when millions of Texans were left without power, and they don't want to be caught in that again. This morning, Fox 26's Tom Zazika has some important reminders to make sure your generators are good to go.
Usually it is a hurricane where we're worrying about our generators, but we went a whole year without one of those. So if you've got one, it didn't get a workout. So perhaps you pulled it out of the garage or the shed or wherever you keep it, and you're getting it ready for whatever is to come with this freeze, thinking just in case. If you remember the big freeze in 2021, you know what can happen. That ice formation can really cause a number on electric lines and that sort of thing, the trees. And if you got caught without power, that is no picnic at all, especially in the dead of winter, those freezing temperatures without heat. So to avoid that is the greatest thing you can do. But whether you have one of these portable generators or you have a permanent built-in one, there are some things that you need to do before you need to depend on it to keep the lights on. Take a listen.
If it's a portable generator and you haven't started it for a while, it's like a lawnmower the first time you start it that summer, right? You want to make sure the gas in it is fresh, the oil level's full, and let it run for a couple minutes. So if your lights do go out, it's very easy to start. For a permanently installed whole home generator, the most important thing there is similar. Oil level is important. They self-test weekly. So it's probably already lubricated, the battery's probably charged. But if for some reason it hasn't self-tested, you may have a bad battery.
So maintenance is the key. The folks there at Abacus say they have been inundated with calls from people saying, I need help. And you are running out of time to take care of those things. So check it and get help as quickly as you can. Meantime, if you need things like oil, get the oil, because if you have to run your generator, you're going to need this stuff to top it off. 24 hours, 36 hours of running that generator. At the very least, you're going to need to top off the oil. And if you run it any longer than that, you're going to need to change the oil, because that oil will break down with the engines, the motors in these generators. You got to take care of it so that it continues to take care of you. And by all means, get the fuel that you need. Gasoline, if your generator runs on that. Propane, if it runs on that. Or natural gas, if you've got that particular luxury as well. But make sure that it all runs and that it's ready to go. And then maybe cross your fingers that maybe you don't need it at all and that you could put it all back when the weather gets warm again. Watching your money, watching what you need to watch. I'm Tom Ziska, Fox 26 News.
And we're still following the weather outside. Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin has a look at what you might see, I should say, on your windshield if you do go outside. Angela, it's cold out there and we've got ice. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I'm in the back lot of our station right now. So these vehicles have been sitting here overnight, and you can see just how much ice there is on it. I do have my ice scraper here. I feel like not every Texan has one. I used to work in North Dakota, so I had this sitting in my car. It's good to just have in your car for days like this, because you can see this thick layer. Now, this little patch we tried to scrape off in the last hour, but I'm really having to put some elbow grease into it to like get through that ice. It is very thick. And then all this down here also is, I guess I don't even know what you'd call it, like chunks of ice. There's quite a bit of it down here, but up here, definitely have to put some elbow grease into it to get through that. If you're trying to go somewhere, if you have to go somewhere, I mean, you shouldn't get on the roads because it's very, very slick out here. I mean, even if you're just going to step outside your house, I mean, look how just slippery it is. I mean, my boots don't have great traction, but I was slipping and sliding on the way to work. So definitely be careful, especially if you're on an incline. It is very slippery. These also probably aren't the greatest boots. If you have snow boots, something like that, that might have more traction. I figured since it wasn't actually snowing, I didn't wear those, but definitely be careful and stay inside. I mean, one of our photographers was trying to make it in, and the car doors were frozen, so he had to wait for the car to warm up. So there's going to be a lot of ice everywhere, basically, on any surface that's outside. You see just how thick that is on the windshield. It's going to take a while to defrost that. If you do have to travel, again, the ground is very, very slippery. So be careful, stay inside. If you do have to travel, go slow, and just be careful out there, because you don't want to slip and fall, that's for sure. Back to you.
Yeah, definitely. You look nice and bundled up, but of course, stay inside if you can. Thanks, Angela.
And Angela was showing how she was trying to scrape that ice off the windshield. One thing you do not want to do is, I've seen people try to pour hot water on their windshield, boiling water. That'll crack it right away with that big temperature difference, and it is dangerously cold. We'll take a closer look at those temperatures and when we'll start to warm up a little bit right after the break.
In traffic.
All right, looking at an overpass conditions. Here's a look at 281 and 410 in San Antonio. It doesn't look like their roads are as icy as ours here in Austin, but you can definitely see some standing water. Still, roads are very clear in terms of no cars on there. So I would say just stay home. You don't need to go outside. You just stay here, stay warm, and if you are on the roads, drive with caution. Once again, this is a live look in San Antonio. And we turn now to Heather Sullivan, reporter with our sister station at Fox 26, who will be our eyes and ears. Oh, not Caroline, I'm sorry. Jessica, who's our very own Fox 7 reporter. Jessica, you are clearly not Heather. Tell me what's going on.
Hey, good morning, Libby. Yeah, so now it's getting later into the morning. More people are waking up. So we are seeing more drivers on the roads. Let me show you what we're looking at right now. So right here, you see a couple of emergency vehicles on this side. It looks like these two cars lost traction. They lost control on the roads. So once again, we want to remind people to stay off the roads. It is not worth coming outside. It is definitely freezing out here. We saw a lot of ice accumulation from last night. We did hear from Adelie earlier. She said that there was about 1/10 of ice accumulation on the roads here in Austin. As we were driving up and down I-35, we did notice more ice north. We are going southbound now. So right now the roads are very bumpy, as you can imagine. You can see some of the ice build up, but we did see TxDOT crews on the roadways. As they said, they were going to be out here making sure that they're putting de-icer on the roads as more people start getting on with their weekend. So once again, TxDOT has been applying brine solution on the roadways to prevent ice buildup. We want to remind people to drive with caution if you're out here. Some things that we did notice was black ice. It's very difficult to see and it makes the roadways dangerously slippery. We did catch ourselves in that kind of situation earlier. Thankfully, we were able to keep control of the car. Now, the bridges and the overpasses, those are still frozen. I did see TxDOT crews out there applying that solution again to make sure that they're able to melt the ice as well. Now, people are over here, they're still driving, and so you want to remember to avoid that cruise control setting on your car and then leave plenty of distance between vehicles so you can stay safe.
Urging everyone to stay off the roadways if possible this weekend, avoid travel. Conditions can change rapidly even if roadways have been treated.
Okay, remember to take your time on the roads. We did notice a lot of cars losing control. They lost their traction in their car. So you want to remember to slow down. So if you do lose that traction in your car, remember to take your feet off the pedals and steering in the direction the car is moving until you're able to gain that control again. Now, I did notice Round Rock Police Department, they said that they were going to have some barricades in areas that is more slippery. TxDOT was able to control the area. They were able to put that brine solution to make sure that there's no ice buildup, but there's always those back roads. Those are very dangerous. Don't get on those. There's going to be some closures on there. I also noticed there's about 30 closures from Hayes County to Williamson County, so if you're out in the roadways and you see those barricades, don't try to drive around that. It's very dangerous, it's very slippery, and there's a lot of ice. So just keep in mind, stay home, stay where it's warm. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica. Please be safe out there as y'all continue to give us live looks from the road. We appreciate it.
Good Day Austin weather with Fox 7 meteorologist Adelie Rowe.
And Jessica had a really good point. She was saying that there's still a lot of ice on the roads, especially on those bridges and those overpasses. But why do they freeze first? So let's go ahead and start with that. So most roads lose that heat evenly, but with those bridges, they don't just lose it on the top like a regular roadway. They also lose all that heat on the bottom, allowing them to cool off much more quickly. And then you see more ice on those, and we're continuing to see that as a problem. So if you really do have to get out on the roads, take it slow. Try not to, and really avoid those bridges and overpasses, because that's the most dangerous and a slippery spot that you could see. And luckily, we're no longer seeing any of that wintry mix, but as we keep talking about, the dangers are still there. We still have quite a bit of ice. We've got that extreme cold warning, and that's going to be lasting until Monday at noon. So we're going to keep dripping our pipes and staying inside, making sure our pets are with us. We're 20 degrees right now downtown Austin. We've got quite a few 20s, but even some teens on the map. We're 15 right now in Burnett. We're 16 over in Fredericksburg, and we've got some strong winds that are coming in from the north with some gusts around 30 miles an hour in spots. So when you factor in those winds, it feels like -1 in Burnet. It feels right now like 0 in Fredericksburg, feels like 7 here in Austin, feels like staying inside. Get yourself a nice hot cup of coffee or tea, wrap yourself up in a blanket, and give yourself an excuse to have a lazy Sunday. Don't go anywhere if you can avoid it. The good news is we're also going to start to see a little bit of sunshine as we get further into the morning and into the afternoon. So that should melt the ice that we saw. And you might be thinking, well, we're not above freezing everywhere. Well, that sun heats the ground, and even if we don't get above freezing, it should melt the majority of the ice. But will it all evaporate before the sun goes back down? That's the big question. And if anything is left, it is going to refreeze overnight because temperatures are horribly cold. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at them. We're only going to be warming up to about freezing here in Austin and below freezing in the hill country. And taking a look late tonight, I mean, temperatures already in the teens and 20s. This is at 10:30 at night. Waking up tomorrow morning, we've got those 20s and those teens once again. Feels like temperatures could be in the single digits and negative again. So stay inside, stay safe. And when it comes to tomorrow afternoon, we're barely above freezing here in Austin. It's not really until we get to Tuesday afternoon that things are really going to start to look better, but we're going to need to continue to drip those pipes. And I know water's a very valuable resource. Maybe catch the water that's dripping and then you can use it on your plants or use it for something else later on. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We've got temperatures that are extremely and dangerously cold, still seeing those ice on the roads. We're below average pretty much the entire week. I mean, we do have another cold front that's going to be coming through this upcoming weekend, not nearly as strong though, but just to make sure that you are staying safe, staying inside, staying off those roadways.
And we've continued to show you pictures all morning that you all have sent us throughout the morning of where you're at. So this is from William in Round Rock. This is this morning. This is what it looks like. And taking another look, Pat from Georgetown sent this in. You can see, I think that's a bird bath. It's pretty full of some ice. I have a feeling that birds will not be bathing today. And Dawn from Austin. Oh, he read my mind. No swimming today in Wells Branch. Yeah, no. Too cold, too much ice. Ashley Lopez from Pflugerville. You can see, I want to say those look like footprints maybe, but if you are walking out there, make sure you are going very slow and make sure you maybe waddle like a penguin a little bit. All right, Colin Crosby, his dog Dozer is in his sweater and he's checking things out up in Cedar Park. He looks cold and not happy, so stay inside. All right, and coming up next, if you drive an electric vehicle, it is important to note that it may not work properly in these freezing conditions. We have the details when we come back.
is on your side.
Good Sunday morning. We are taking a live look outside right now to downtown Austin. You can see that sleet on the rooftops. Oh, my Midwest is showing rooftops. There it is. Don't go outside. It's slippery, it's cold, it's freezing. If you want the full forecast, stay with us because Adelaide Rowe will give us that here in a bit. As this massive winter storm moves across the country, some areas could see up to a foot of snow and more. Here in Texas, now is a good reminder that snow means shoveling, but if you shovel the wrong way, you could be putting your health at risk. Fox's Richard Giacovis has more on how to stay safe while shoveling the snow.
As we brace for the anticipated weekend winter wallop, you may be thinking about all that shoveling you have to get done. But before you suit up to brave the outdoors and clear away your walkway and driveway, be aware of the dangers of shoveling snow.
There's going to be a lot of snow. You don't want to rush too much and overtax the body because being out in the cold is strenuous. So treat shoveling your driveway like you're going for a jog, not a sprint.
Professional trainer Matteo Daniele says he's seen his fair share of muscular injuries for those who don't shovel the right way. And yes, there's a right way to shovel.
Small scoops go a long way. Stick your tush back, brace with your knees and your core, and then lift. And you take a few steps to wherever you're going to dispose of the snow and drop it right there, rather than heaving it or twisting. So you do a little bit more squatting, a little less rotating.
Shoveling the wrong way doesn't only put your muscles at risk, like throwing out your back or being at risk of a herniated disc, even hurting your rotator cuff for some time and being out for months. But there's also medical risks as well. And did you know that if you overstrain while shoveling the wrong way, you could be at risk of a heart attack or even stroke?
When you're shoveling snow, your pressure may rise, and somebody who has uncontrolled high blood pressure and they have an acute increase in pressure, it can precipitate possibly vasoconstriction of their blood vessels in their brain, and they can have a stroke.
Pulmonologist Dr. Lawrence Miller is advising at-risk patients to slow down this weekend. Instead of trying to clear away all that snow at once, chip away at it over time.
Take it easy. That's what I have to say. No weekend warriors out there, trying to just, overdo it is what I would say. Use common sense. Shovel along as you need to. You develop any discomfort, take a rest, take a break.
So if you find yourself sidelined from shoveling this Sunday, don't fret. Take it easy, or better yet, go borrow a snowblower. In White Plains, Richard Giacovis, Fox 5 News.
And coming up next, knowing how to properly heat your home in case of a power outage could save your life. How to protect yourself from carbon monoxide when we come back.
We're watching Good Day Austin on Fox 7.
Taking another live look at downtown Austin. You can see that sleet on top of roofs. Oh my gosh, roofs. There it is. All right, Adelie, she's got the full forecast.
Good Day Austin weather with Fox 7 meteorologist Adelie Rowe.
And as we go ahead and take a look, you can see the majority of that wet weather, that winter storm, is pushing out of the Lone Star State. Still a little bit of snow pushing farther to the north to the west, but no more for us. No more snow. We saw a little bit of that. We saw some freezing rain, and luckily a lot of that switched over to sleet overnight. So that kept us from seeing the widespread power outages, because that sleet, you can somewhat drive on it, but it's mixed with the freezing rain. So with that combination, it makes it a slippery situation. And even though we're not seeing any more accumulation, we are still seeing a lot of ice. There's a lot of big words, and they all rhymed. When we've got that extreme cold warning, and that's going to be lasting until noon on Monday. Dangerously cold out there. So the worst of it somewhat over with, because we're not seeing any more wintry mix, but we are left with those icy conditions, so still stay home. It's 20 degrees in Austin. It's 19 in Rockdale. It's 13 in San Saba. Feels like 0 in Fredericksburg. Feels like -1 in Burnett. Feels like 3 in Lampasas. So again, if you don't need to go out, just stay home. We've got some dangerous conditions that we're still dealing with. So I did want to remind you of your 4 Ps during the freeze: people, pets, plants, and pipes.
Across the state, Austin isn't the only city dealing with some severe winter weather. In Montgomery County, Heather Sullivan is checking in with EMS officials. And Heather, what's it looking like?
Yes, we want to get you an update. Thankfully, it looks like the precipitation is, kind of winding down at this point around here. We have had issues with sleet, and of course, we've got very cold temperatures and wet roads, and we're worried about, freezing at this point. So I'm joined right now by Jason Millsaps, and he's the coordinator of emergency management here in Montgomery County. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us an update on the situation and what you're keeping an eye on?
So overnight, the heavy rains that moved through kind of actually warmed us up a little bit, which was great. We had a little bit of freezing rain and some sleet, but the accumulation we've seen so far is not near as high as forecasted, so we're feeling good about that. Temperatures have dropped dramatically since daybreak. This morning we was right at the freezing line. It's just dropped below 27, and it's going to continue to stay cold all day. We won't go above freezing until Tuesday, so what does freeze will not have a chance to thaw throughout the day. Road crews throughout the county are trying to treat the roads again. The pre-treatments are not going to survive the amount of rain that we received, so they're out working. So helping us help you stay off the roads right now allows us to get those roads treated and make them safe for tomorrow's commute and things for people to go back to work. Thankfully, most of our schools in the county are closed tomorrow, so that'll allow the kids to stay home and safe and warm. We are very concerned, though, with the accumulation of ice that we've seen on our trees. Later today, we were forecasted to see some gusty winds, coupled with trees that have been through a drought this year and now winter with the ice accumulation. We are concerned that we'll see some trees start to fall down, or tree limbs start to fall down, and then that could disrupt power. And depending on how the roads are later with the additional cooler temps, could slow restoration down. So we're watching that very closely. Right now we're in great shape across the county. We've only got about 300 power outages, and so we're feeling really good where we are right now.
Yeah, and I know you're watching some of the bridges, overpasses, and can you tell me a little bit about just kind of like, what you guys do in here, what kind of things you're monitoring?
So here in the Emergency Operations Center, we're able to monitor anything throughout the county that we need to, as well as the state.
All right, looks like we might have lost Heather, but it looks like they were describing the weather.
County,
here she is.
So we can see the roadways. And as you can see, most of our roads are clear right now with very little traffic. However, we just were informed right before we went live that the overpass at Woodlands Parkway off of 45 northbound is going to be closed. There's currently an accident on that overpass, and because of the icy conditions, they are going to end up closing that roadway. I would expect that to continue throughout the day as those elevated surfaces begin to freeze first, and then hopefully the ground temps are high enough that the roadways that are not elevated will survive the ice, but the elevated surfaces.
Coordinator for Emergency Management in Montgomery County, thank you very much. And we'll send things back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Heather. Stay warm and stay safe. The impact of severe weather sending ripple effects in other parts of the state. In North Texas, we've seen a few reports of weather-related crashes. Here's Fox's Peyton Yeager from our sister station in Dallas, and she has a firsthand look at the conditions in Tarrant County.
We just pulled up on the scene here, and I'm going to step out of the way because we've got two wreckers here doing the Lord's work. We are trying to get the trailer on one tow truck and then the white truck on the other one, and these two men are trying to figure it out. But what we understand from this incident is that this white truck was pulling the black trailer and it jackknifed right here on this hill at the edge of the I-20 and Green Oak. So that white truck was jackknifed, kind of looking down onto that hill, and then you had that black trailer behind it. So these guys right here, they are trying to do what they can. We have Arlington police that have narrow down that right lane to make sure that no one runs into this. So right now, as you can see, my photographer, we are trying to get this white truck out of the divots of this grass on this overpass.
And that was Fox's Peyton Yeager reporting. We're taking a look at another weather-related crash in North Texas, this time in Ellis County. Troopers shared this photo to social media after an 18-wheeler skidded into a concrete barrier, ripping a chunk apart. No immediate word on any injuries there. People across the United States, they're hunkering down for this winter blast, and they're trying to keep warm, as it's key. But how you keep warm could put you at risk for carbon monoxide poisoning. Fox's Josh Gaunt has more on tips to keep you safe.
Carbon monoxide is a silent killer. The CDC says the odorless and colorless gas kills hundreds of people in the U.S. every year. We're told CO poisonings happen more frequently in the winter months. Symptoms include headaches, nausea, and dizziness.
Typically, on a low exposure, you start seeing these symptoms about 1 to 2 hours into the usage of these fuel-burning appliances, whereas at higher levels, you can actually see some issues taking place less than 5 minutes.
That's why it's critical to have a carbon monoxide alarm in your home on every level, according to Captain David Brasher with Irondale Fire and Rescue.
These are the first line of defense to let us know that there's a problem.
If you have any kind of fuel-burning appliances like wood, natural gas, propane, or kerosene, Brasher says you need a CO alarm and make sure it works. It's easy to test.
You can just hold and test. You can test it and make sure that it's working properly. That's the biggest thing. And that's what you want to hear in making sure that they work, because these, just like with the plug-ins, are battery operated.
Also important, Brasher says never use generators indoors, and warming your car inside the garage can also harm you and your family.
A lot of people want to get in their car and stay in the basement. The power goes out. Well, what that does is fill the home full of CO.
And coming up next, we are debunking a rumor. There is a growing concern of trees exploding due to the freezing temperatures. We have returning stories when we come back. All right, good Sunday morning. I think our prompter's messed up. It's not on the right story.
Well, we can talk about what we see.
Oh, I did read this earlier.
Oh, yes, I know about this one too.
Exploding trees.
Yeah, so there's that rumor, you might probably saw it if you have the internet, and you must if you're watching this, and about trees exploding and the cold causing them to explode. And that is not true.
It's a lie.
Actually, what you do here is the trees can crack, that sap can crack during extreme temperatures. Yes, it can expand and make it sound like it's going to explode,
I think
but it's not.
Video.
It will not explode. Do not worry. You can stand around a tree.
Our phones have been blowing up. It's been pretty crazy for us. A lot of people are interested in trees exploding. So we've just been trying to give them the information and knowledge that they need to make sure that nobody panics or freaks out.
Yeah. So do not panic. They are not going to explode. It's just that cracking sound that you're hearing. So you're safe to stand next to a tree when it's cold outside. But you don't want to be standing next to a tree when it's raining or under a tree, because a lot of times people might try to hide from the storm under those branches, but trees are more likely to get struck by lightning. So that's just a little tip for you.
Yes. Also, something I learned in Vermont is that's why they maple tap, like syrup tap.
Oh,
in the
man,
winter.
you know what? Oh, my God, I wish I had some warm pancakes.
I'm so hungry right now.
Oh, I know. I'm ready for some food. Hopefully you're at home with some soup or some chili.
Yes.
Staying nice and warm.
And on the note of talking about cracking trees, let's take a look.
And this was taken on the Gunflint Trail in Minnesota. That's near the border of Canada. And it's showing those trees swaying and cracking due to the cold, like we were talking about. And the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources says that the boom or pop of frost cracks happen, as Libby was saying, when that sap or water freeze and then expands during those trees and during those rapid temperature drops like we've been seeing.
I know, I forget what they call it in Vermont. Maybe it's sugar tapping. I don't know. I gotta look it up. It's been a minute, but yeah, that's how it works.
My mom gets the expensive syrup, like
it's
real in a glass bottle. I know
it's the best.
You know what?
Once you've had it, you can't go back.
No, you really can't.
Yeah. All right, the winter storm, it's slamming a huge portion of the country, like we've been chatting about. Depending on where you lived, your loved ones may experiencing some ice, snow, sleet, definitely some freezing temperatures.
Yes.
But in New Orleans, one special parade, it still went as planned. The city, they're likely to miss the bulk of the storm, of course, but they are being hit with bitter cold. Despite these intergalactic, I'm so sorry, I'm messing up. Despite these chilly temps, this intergalactic crew of Chewbacca says that their parade is meant to honor the legendary star Wookiee Chewbacca.
You know, every year there's a lot of planning and work that goes into building a parade. There are a lot of elements that we can account for, and some of those that we can't account for, it's the weather. Chewbacca is all about crew love and spreading that hope and love and joy with the community. And no matter what the weather throws at us, we're still going to bring all of that energy and positivity and love to the community.
I've got a dog at home that looks a lot like Chewbacca, like a miniature version.
Louis does.
Louis looks like Chewie.
Louis does look like Chewie. That would be a really cute Princess Leia, maybe like a Chewie. Oh
Next
my
year,
gosh.
This past year, they were Cinderella and the Magic Pumpkin.
Oh.
So.
Well, we've been living in Frozen, speaking of Disney movies.
I see their costume.
It could definitely work.
Anyways, 900 people, they turned out for that, and they made sure everything went according to plan, and they had a good time.
All right, the nation's capital continues to see a lot of snow, and it's tempting a lot of people to go sliding and sledding down Capitol Hill.
But it's not as simple as it sounds. After 9/11, officials began to enforce an 1876 congressional ruling of no sledding on Capitol Hill. Fox News' chief congressional correspondent Chad Pergram explains.
They legislate on Capitol Hill, they hold debates, they have hearings, but when there's a big snowstorm on Capitol Hill, they also sled, if you get my drift. Expect a flurry of sledders at the Capitol. But sledding here was once flaky. An 1876 congressional rule iced out sledders, barring use of the Capitol grounds for play. Officials rarely enforced the ban until after 9/11. Capitol Police regulations prohibit winter activities on the Capitol grounds, including snowmobiling and skiing. Regulation 16.520 specifically melted the fun, declaring no person shall coast or slide a sled within the Capitol grounds. It became an issue during a 2015 snowstorm.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, sir? Good. You know, the Capitol regulations have stated are that there's no sledding or skiing on Capitol grounds for life safety and property damage issues.
I understand the regulations. Thanks for letting me know, but we're going to go do a little more sledding here.
All right, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Leave it to Congress to make a mountain out of Capitol Hill. D.C.'s non-voting delegate to Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton, asked officials to chill about the sledding ban. Despite the uphill battle, Norton tucked language into a spending bill lifting the sledding prohibition a few years ago. Norton's language supersedes the regulation. The moral to the story is fight the powder. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Chad, you're funny.
I loved all the puns. You know,
you
I'm
did.
a pun queen. I absolutely loved it. And we're moving on to another story. You've heard of Dry January. Well, there's another trend called No Buy January. And the idea is to eliminate all non-essential spending for the entire month after spending a lot during the holidays. And Google's searches for No Buy January hit a 5-year high because we're all broke in December, and it's mostly fueled by Gen Zers and millennials.
I'm taking a break. I spent a lot of money during Christmas, and I said, you know, to my boyfriend, like, I'm not spending any money.
Sometimes I screw up, but overall, I think I'm doing pretty well.
And spending is still high despite this trend taking off with younger Americans. And woof, I struggled because I moved around the holidays, and I was telling Libby I got my credit card statement, and I was like, that's wrong.
Oopsies.
That's wrong. And then I went and looked at it. Nope. That was right.
It's tough out there. Everything is very expensive.
But I still want to buy these.
Yes. And if you are in the mood for buying, which it sounds like you are, Croc fans, they're getting another shoe now that the company has partnered with Lego. They're taking a new spin on the footwear with the block-shaped shoe. I just feel like you'd trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, not good. Maybe you can put like one gibbet on there and it would be huge. But they,
oh my God, they are
you
big.
See what I mean?
Whoa, I didn't realize they were that big.
Yeah, well, good news. They still have the iconic heel strap in case you need to go into sport mode. The block Crocs, they dropped February 16th. You can get on the wait list, so you should do that.
Oh,
they do cost $150, and they come with a special Lego minifigure with its own pair.
Oh, well, a Lego to the break.
Yes, nice. We will be right back.
And I'll have another look at the weather because we're not seeing any more wintry mix fall, but there's still falling temperatures and ice.
Yeah.
You're watching Good Day Austin on Fox 7.
Austin Pets Alive says more than 100 dogs are fostered during this freeze, and more than 25 of them have found a new home. On Friday, they took in dozens of animals from surrounding shelters that prepared for these emergency intakes. All locations, they are closed through Monday. If you do want to help out, though, they say what they need right now is donations to cover the cost of medical care and transport for their new arrivals. If you want to foster a pet, they recommend checking out some other area shelters. And when temperatures drop, pet owners are encouraged to keep animals indoors as much as possible. For animals that have to be outside, provide warm bedding and make sure that they have access to shelter and unfrozen water. Vets say pet owners should act quickly if their pet starts having problems after being out in the cold.
If you think there's frostbite, a risk of frostbite, you don't want to rub that. You just want to get it to a nice warm temperature. You don't want to throw hot water on it. You want lukewarm or room temperature water to kind of bring that temperature back up.
And if the problem is still there, experts say to take your animal to the vet immediately.
And make sure that if you did salt your sidewalks or your driveways, that you don't let your pet's paws get on that, because the salt can irritate them. You can use other things like kitty litter if you want things to be less slippery, dirt, because even though that winter storm is continuing to push to the east, we're still seeing some icy conditions left over from the freezing rain that switched over to sleet last night. And luckily it did switch over to sleet, because we would be seeing a lot more issues if this had just been freezing rain. Right now we've got freezing temperatures. We've still got some cloud cover out there. We've got an extreme cold warning that's going to be lasting until noon. Taking a look downtown Austin, it's almost 10 a.m. and we are 21. It is dangerously cold. Some of us are in the teens, 16 in Lampasas, also 16 in Alano, 22 over in Lockhart. And on top of that, we've got northerly winds adding to the chill, some gusts around 30 miles an hour. So feels like temperatures are even colder. It feels like 10 here in Austin. Check it out in the hill country. Feels like 0 in Llano. Feels like 0 in Fredericksburg. Feels like you should stay inside as much as possible. It's a perfect excuse for a lazy Sunday. Just hang out on the couch, have some hot chocolate, and the sun will come out later on this afternoon, and that should help melt. I'm then thinking the majority of the ice, even if we don't get above freezing, that sun radiate the ground, and it shouldn't be an issue. But will it all evaporate? That's still up in the air, but whatever doesn't all melt and evaporate will refreeze and turn into black ice. So there could still be some slick spots tomorrow morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at these temperatures. Today, we're going to be warming up to about freezing here in Austin, in the 20s over in the hill country. And then temperatures are going to dip down really quickly overnight, especially with that lack of cloud cover. So by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, we've got more 20s and teens to look forward to. And then looking forward to tomorrow afternoon, I'm thinking we'll be slightly above freezing, but still dangerously cold. And that's the high. So we're going to need to continue to make sure that our pets are staying warm, that our pipes are being dripped and insulated, keep those cabinets open under your sinks. And then it's not really until Tuesday afternoon that we'll start to really be in the clear with those highs in the mid 40s, some of us right around 50. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Dangerously cold conditions are set to continue. We've got that extreme cold warning until noon tomorrow, so make sure that you are bundling up. And I know we've been saying it all morning long. If you can, stay off the roads and just stay inside. We've got a little bit of wet weather as we head in towards next weekend, and we've got a slow warm up to look forward to.
Now, when you say next weekend, not as near as of right now.
Yes, not nearly as bad. I was kind of freaking out because there was one model that was showing like a tiny bit of mixed precip very early Sunday morning. It's no longer showing that, so hopefully it continues to trend that way. But no matter what the weather is, we're going to be keeping an eye on it. We're going to be keeping you weather aware, safe, and informed. And I just want to give a big shout out to everyone for all their hard work up here at the station, because it's a lot, but we do it for you. And
yes,
we love doing it.
And you know what? I think it's kind of fun to cover more. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy.
I enjoy it. I enjoy the chance to nerd out. That's for sure.
I know you do.
I do. I'm losing my voice, but hey.
Well, good news.
I'll have some tea.
We are done. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you back here next weekend starting at 6 a.m. Don't forget to have a good day and stay warm. Be safe out there. We'll see you later.